Jasmine, I'm officially okay. I'm joining. Okay, this is amazing. Volume should be high enough. I think you guys could hear me. I gotta make sure. Okay. Hello. This is we're officially back for the season 3 of my podcast. We're gonna have our host joining soon. So I am excited how this is gonna be. I'm very excited for this season. Not only we're gonna be talking about the Grammys, I also have plans for track and field, which I plan on covering this season. So we have a lot of things that we're gonna be covering. I'm very excited. Um, yeah, it's gonna be good. So I have a list of notes. I can't wait to discuss. So it's just gonna be nice. It's gonna be fun. We have so much time to cover things. So, like I said, kicking off this amazing season 3, I just wanna go out my way and just say thank you guys, and first thank you the Lord for making this even possible. So it's pretty amazing to see all of this come to fruition. It's been very, very, very long to cover every single thing all at once, but I could honestly say I am like truly grateful for this opportunity. Um, this hasn't been easy covering each and every things, but I think what makes this even more surreal. Oh, hold on, guys. So my light camera just went out. So hold on. Okay, we're back. Oh, just a moment, guys. This is some technical things that's gonna be fixed soon. So I can't wait to fix these things once the okay. I think that's better now. But this is an amazing experience. Um, we're gonna check real quick. Hold on. Okay, so let us check something before we kick off everything. Let me just reach out to my co-host. She's going to be joining me soon. So, like I said, we're just doing some small preparation here and there. We're gonna be making sure everything is nice and dandy. Um, yeah, just give me a few minutes. So it's gonna be amazing to see that. Like I said, um, I'm gonna see if I could make sure to add someone. I'm gonna see if that's gonna work. Like I said, this is different. Previously, I think what made it different this time. Um, yeah. So what I'm gonna do now, it's we're gonna see if we could like conjunct back and forth to see if we can discuss what has been covering at the Grammys, as well as what has been going on with the whole Beyonce controversy when it comes to the Grammys. She won Album of the Year this year. So that's one of our first topics for episode 1, and then we're gonna talk about the tour and the other things. So I'm gonna definitely see how that's gonna be able to cramp up and everything. So I think this is gonna be amazing. Um, let us see what's gonna happen. Okay. So that way it's gonna be more fun. So let's just wait to see how it's gonna work. Like I said, it's gonna be good to seeing us, me and my co-host, go back and forth on like topics as well as what's gonna be happening. Like I said, we're once it hits like 20 minutes, we're officially kicking off the topics and everything. I just want to make sure we have everything. But like I said, I sorry for you guys for the small technical issues, but I can guarantee you guys it will be more, I would say, efficient when we get to episode two, which I might air episode two tomorrow. Like I said, we also have track and field. We're gonna be covering. Some. I'm for now. I'm just gonna give you guys all the set list of what we're gonna be covering for tomorrow, as well as future episode. My dream, hopefully, is to get. Hold on. Let me see if I can. Okay, my partner is having a difficulty to join. Um, Hold on. I think you would have to type in. I think Jazz. I think you would have to tap into to ask to get into and then I could share the thing to you. I think that's how it works. Um, Let me see if I could do that through my phone real quick. Like I said, these are technical things that, as a person that, even though I'm still new to doing the podcasting, it's never easy. But that's an experience that I'm willing to learn. You know, so that's I'm very it's very interesting to do that. Let me see if it's gonna work. Hold on. Okay, let's. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Share that. Then let's see. See if this is gonna work. So let me know if that works, Jazz. Um, okay. Let's see if it's gonna work for her. Um, okay, so okay, it seems like she's having issue to join. Okay, so we might just find a way to just go back and forth, I guess. Um, we could just yeah, try that instead and then see if it's gonna work. Um, because I think you would have to also go live as well, Jasmine. And then I think I could share that with you. I think that's how I think it works. But like I said, we have a slew of things to talk about tonight. Um, so we'll see if it works that way. Um, but if doesn't, we could converse in the chat. Um, so that way it's gonna be easier. Um, yeah. So she's gonna check to see if she go lives to see if she could partner up with mine. That way it's gonna work that way. I think sometime we'll do that so that way we could share stream. Shoot. Okay, that's interesting. I'll see if that's gonna work. So if it works that way, it's gonna be better. That way we could converse. Um, this is interesting. Like I said, technical issues tend to happen, so bear with us. We're trying to make sure this doesn't become a thing. So if we once we get it, it's gonna be easier to converse back and forth. But like I said, in the meantime, she's doing that. How you guys been over the past couple of months? I hope a lot of people been doing well. I know school is about to be starting soon, so a lot of people that are planning to start school or People are planning to go back from work, from vacation. I hope this becomes a recurring thing. Like I said, after going back, I could just talk about some small things before we kick off anything. Um, I think after going back and watching everything that I have covered over the years, I think I feel very happy to see what I have done over the span of 5 years. I'm also reaching up 1,000 episode on my you know, overall content wise. And it's pretty surreal that I really started off my YouTube journey in 2014, but I never got the chance to cover anything. And then over time, I managed to, um, cover my channel, I would say during the pandemic. So from 2020 to now, I literally covered almost 1,000 videos. Now I'm still deciding what episode 1,000 is gonna be, but I'm still speculating. Also, we have to shout out to Beyonce's Black Betty, you know, reference. I think this is also Miss Black Betty's birthday, so happy heavenly birthday on that. It's pretty cool to see that she's paying homage to all of these legends. Um, I find it very honorable, and that whatever she planned on doing next for Act Three is going to be very very amazing. Um, it's hard to picture everything that has accomplished this year. When it comes to tour wise, school, and dedication. Like I said, it's always good to start something small. It may start with one person, it may start with a lot of people, but I'm here to tell you guys that my journey of YouTube, and I'm just talking about that for a prequel episode right now. My my connection to YouTube was such an interesting route because at that time I was more as like an artist due to the fact that when 2020 happened, it was during the Shakira and J Lo Super Bowl. There was a lot going on in the world at that moment. It's still a lot of things going on, but I felt like it was my job as like a creator, a content creator, or as someone that creates content for the betterment of positivity. Was we know the world is a very shitty place, and that it was amazing to converse things into a position where we managed to create some positivity um, on not only on the channel, but also what I plan to cover became more of a small little legacy. I would say I think I was very proud of that because when you see the amount of things that by God's grace that I managed to cover, and then I look back on the positivity that I managed to reach out to people, it makes me feel very very good. It also makes it feel as if you have a purpose to bring out the positive in the world, because we already have a lot of craziness going on in the world, and I think it's smart to always cover things in a positive note. I always mention this. My channel is not for everyone. I try my best. Sometimes people may find this channel a bit corny, but that's people's opinion. I try my best to not there's already enough craziness that's going on. I try my best to keep things that are more sacred to me and that makes me me. It's always good to be yourself. And I think a lot of people tend to not try to do that. And my journey of YouTube is not easy, but there were times that I would say people will be like, interesting, and then they will sign out or they will unsubscribe, which was is people's you know but I think the people that stuck around and that actually saw my channel grow from where it is now and to where I am now, I am very very grateful. It's something that I don't take for granted. When you have a talent that you Oh, hold on. Go live and create and edit. Select your broadcast. Oh, hold on. Just a moment, guys. Uh, oh, okay. I get it. So maybe for the next podcast, okay, I get it, Jasmine. So maybe for the next podcast, we might do that option. I don't want to stop the live now since we already started. So what we might do, we might shift the way we do things tonight, and then tomorrow we'll do the second part of tonight. So tonight we'll have two parts. The first part will be like this, and then the second part will be me creating another live that's gonna try to invite people in. Because I think sometimes YouTube algorithm plays that way. It's like one time it works in one way and then the other time works in the other way. So in the meantime, Jasmine, we could definitely talk and then look upon the live chat. You could, so for people that are watching the live right now, you could send the conversation there and then I'll look at it and then we could discuss how it's gonna go. Um, but it's kind of weird. Yeah. So in the meantime, do you want me to type in the chat to join the conversation? Yes, you can, Jasmine. That will work that way. Like I said, next episode, I apologize for this episode. Um, we're gonna make sure that when I set up the things for live, I have to put it as like jointly so that way multiple people could join the podcast. Um, like I said, it's always a first for a lot of things. I'm not gonna complain. But this is what it's trials and mistakes. I think this what makes us. So I'm just very happy to see things in a better light. I think that for anybody that is a small channel and that is climbing up the ranks. I think I always say this, I'm always able to subscribe to smaller channels because I've been at that moment too, and I'm still growing. I'm still a small channel myself, but I'm still growing, and I always congratulate them. I'd be like, don't give up. I've seen a lot of negative comments before, and that it's important to keep your faith and to just be you when everybody feels as if when you feel like everything is against you. Always realize that silence and hard work will leave a lot of noise, and that way it would help you benefit longer than you expect. Um, but enough said. Um, so once we about to reach the 20-minute mark, like I mentioned, we're gonna officially kick off the topic. So the first topic we're gonna be talking about is Beyonce. So I know that a lot of you guys have been knowing that I've been covering Beyonce since April, since she kicked off the Cowboy Carter Tour, and then also I covered you know, the the other things on the chat. So it's gonna be amazing. I think Jasmine, I think you could leave comments on there as well, so that way you could see um, things. But like I said, as we bring more people into the podcast episode, we're gonna see, um, you know. So I'm gonna type in the comments right now. So the topics that we're gonna be covering tonight. So like I mentioned, since because of the technical difficulties, so we might do something different. So we might cover instead of a 2 hour podcast, we might get up to like an hour and a half, roughly 2 hours. So that way we'll have enough to really converse tomorrow. So we'll set up the things better to make the other person join the podcast, and then moving forward we'll have that forever. So thank you so much, Jasmine. Yeah, I appreciate that as well. Um, it's cool to just be yourself on a podcast, and over time you're gonna find a lot of people that's gonna love what you do. So the topics that I'm gonna be covering today, like I said, the Grammys, most definitely, um, the decision for 2026, and we're also gonna be talking about the Beyonce tour. Now, this is gonna be spammed for a couple of more episodes. Beyonce tour, as well as um, we're also going to be covering her massive Cowboy Carter um, experience that we went to see the tour. Me and Jasmine, as well as my sister, we went to see the tour, as well as a good friend of mine, Pamela. We went to see her for, I think, night four of MetLife. Um, what else we going to be talking about? I think the visuals in Act Three, the connection that I've been making on my channel. Um, so I have more videos coming soon, but like I said, track and field officially kicked off on my channel, so I was very proud. Like I said, maybe in the future I might really do like a Patreon when I get a better space, because the living room right now, like I said, it's good to give you the raw and footage. Like I said, there's some small things I have in the background, but that doesn't stop me from creating content. A lot of famous people, a lot of great people that kicked off something in the past always told me that, I remember it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or a millionaire or YouTuber, the smallest beginning kicks off like this. Okay. And, a lot of great inventors literally went back and literally created something that a lot of people are using right now from either their backyard or even in their room. And I just always want to tell people, like, it doesn't matter where you start, but when you see yourself somewhere 5 or 10 years later of how hard you work now, people are gonna look back on these things. Sometimes people question, why do I constantly make videos? Why do I constantly try my best to innovate myself? I always tell people like this: where I'm going, only God knows, and the people that actually cherish what I'm capable of and what I have done so far could really dictate what my journey is gonna be like. Even I sometimes don't know, but I always say God knows best, and that I try my best to leave a positive impression in people's lives. I think it's always important to be positive in the world where we are constantly in chaos. It's important. Like I always tell people, like, yes, I do content, but I always want to make people feel as if that I'm not too big to not be reachable. I think it's always good to, if I could literally, um, reach out to one person, it's enough for me. Um, like I said, I've been into places where they will never speak your name, and that after you leave, a lot of people will try to either want to know you or trying to get to know you. And on top of that, like I mentioned to a lot of people, and I always say that when I don't post that much content is due to the fact that, one, I'm still in school, so I'm still studying my practice of what architecture. So if you go back to previous videos that I have done in the past, you would see that I have literally um, you know went back trying to rebrush on some other contents, and then over time it got there. So without further ado, we're gonna be kicking off the first topic. So I wanted to make sure that I go along with everything. I wanted to buy time and really be ready in the space in my head. So like I said, let me give you guys a journey of me expressing my love for not only Beyonce, but as well as the content that she has brought out throughout the years out of me. She makes me work harder at my craft. And I think if anybody gives a chance to actually put in the work of your work ethic and whatever that you put yourself into, you would see that when you work hard and you don't pay attention to the negativity, you would actually propel yourself to be even further than what you expect to be. So, as I said, Cowboy Carter kicked off, and here's another crazy thing. So, Cowboy Carter is an interesting album for me. It's probably my favorite album so far because that was the album that actually helped me go through a lot of things besides Renaissance. Renaissance, I actually miss going to the tour. It was a very painful year for me. So May 10th, 2023, Beyonce kicks off not Cowboy Carter, Renaissance. And from Renaissance, she literally kicked off in Stockholm. And I remember what I was doing at that time. And, a lot of things was happening. And for one, I lost a sibling in 2023. So this was the main reason why I couldn't really go see the Beyonce experience. It still hurts now. It's not, there's no greater feeling than losing either a parent or even a sibling, someone that actually you grew up with. And to see that person, passed away is not something I take lightly. But moving forward, um, I had to work extra, extra hard, and then Renaissance hits me with a ton of brick. It was such amazing songs, and then when you started seeing the tour and the tour itself and the production. So as a technical aspect, because I cover architecture, when you look at the set list and you look at the design of the stage from even Cowboy Carter and to Renaissance, they're almost interchangeable. And the reason why I say they're interchangeable is that, for one, Beyonce's production of level of creativity is in a different atmosphere for many artists of this generation. Like I said, you have artists at that time that kind of create things, but then you have artists that find ways propel themselves into a different stratosphere that not a lot of people could go. For one, when I went to see the Cowboy Carter, the level of production this woman has produced was a shocker to me because you're looking at someone that I watch into the books, and then from the books, I started looking at so many things that she has done, and then to see this person live, it's a feeling that I think I will never wash away. It's a smile that this person puts on your face that you're watching one of the best, but to see it in person, it's a different atmosphere. And I think I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to actually go see her, and that throughout the whole freaking tour, her voice did not crack, not fucking once. Like, this shit was crazy to me. Like, the amount of things, yeah. And she continues to raise the bar. And I think what makes her such a exceptional artist is that when you look upon what the Grammys voted for and what they actually focused on to cover, you will realize that when she won Album of the Year this year, this was not her first time being nominated. These were so many times that not only she was snubbed for, but she was backlashed by different places that she couldn't enter. And we're gonna get into that further on in the episode. But like I said, this album, Cowboy Carter, was such an amazing experience for me. I still have the boxes over there that I haven't even opened yet, due to the fact that, you know what? No, tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. I will make sure to have all of the different vinyls here to show you guys the dedication that this woman has put me in a path of greatness. And thank God too for creating a person that works super hard and shows why God is such a wonderful creator. Due to the fact that you could have a lot of people against you, but when God says no, like when God says you're not to be denied greatness, nobody can tell you no. Like I mentioned before, the technical aspect of this tour made me appreciate the price of the ticket was worth it. Like when you look upon the technical points, right? For one, you saw that, let me give you a better explanation of the stage. So the first stage, which was the Renaissance stage, was such an amazing stage because it was a banjo. The banjo comes back to Africa, and it is a instrument from Africa. And the banjo was a representation of the stage for Cowboy Carter. But after the pandemic, she actually kind of switched it. So even though the albums are three-part trilogies, it feels as if the stage themselves are not three parts. The stages are intertwined by past, future, and present. There's a part on the Renaissance stage that she said that she travels back in time to meet her comparisons. She tapped herself into like some sort of NPC, indicating that each time it's almost as if the whole three-act trilogies are basically a set list of past, future, and present. I think I mentioned this before that the subliminals of Cowboy Carter as well as Renaissance. If Cowboy Carter was a past project, then Renaissance is the future of where we are going as a nation, as a future, as a music production. All of this is shifting towards the future. And then Act Three, which I already named, Act Three is going to be called a rock house or something. Because if you realize, Renaissance was one word, Cowboy Carter is two words. Um, Act Three might be three words. So you see the pattern. Even the title of the projects are in the segment of the different acts. Um, Also, another cool thing that I think that's interesting, she find ways of intertwining the past, but merging it with set lists of the future. There's a lot of albums that she created in the past that when we look back now, we thought what she was like. For an example, Four. Four will always stuck with me because this was a album that one of my closest friends that me and my sister had passed away. Her favorite song on that track was "I Was Here," which was one of Beyonce's song on the Four album. She this song is captivating, similar to 16 Carriages, where she talks about the different points of her life, and that one day when all this is said, people are going to remember her for not just the tour, but her contribution, her as a person. And mind you, Beyonce don't really let that many people in her life like that. She tends to really speak through her, um, I would say, through her music. So to see this person that you don't really interact with, they speak through you too. This is why I said music is a very important and powerful thing, and that music could either break you or make you, depending on the situation that you're feeling at that time. But going back to the technical sound, so when we got to so I'm gonna give you guys the vlog aspect because I will be releasing the entire body of the Beyonce tour. There will be parts that are slightly ugly because it's me just yelling and screaming at the entire production of how good it was. But and long term, I think what makes this stands out to me. Well, yeah, let me just read the comments real quick. I was here, so underrated, and a lot of people have yet to discover this song. Yeah, this song was pretty amazing. um what makes this fun and what makes this such positivity is that when you look upon everything as a scope of the span of how many years she's been out, right? So she's been out since 1997, and she became a solo artist in 2003, and she released Dangerously in Love. And then you start looking at the countdown. Like there's a part of Cowboy Carter Tour that actually made me slightly cry because you look upon the span of how many years that has went by, and Beyonce has been giving us nothing but bangers. It's such a surreal to see if she wants to back off a little bit and just relax, because she did say that. She said she's gonna, once she have kids, which was one of her accomplishments, she had kids, and she want to pull back a little bit. She don't want to be too much back to back to back to back, because it really realized Renaissance, when she actually Renaissance was more a party anthem, and she was dancing more compared to what she was doing now, where she sang more on Cowboy Carter compared to Renaissance, because Renaissance was mostly dance. She said this was more of a liberation of dance and the impact of the queer community, as well as Uncle Johnny, which was her. She called her the his fairy godmother or something like that, which was pretty cool. Like I said, it's cool to see that she brought all type of people from different walks of life, and that the Renaissance. I think the reason why the Renaissance was so muchly celebrated was that she brought all types of people from different walks of life into one setting, and it's hard to find artists that could do things like that. So I think that was a beautiful thing from the Renaissance tour. And then she released the film, I think 1 year after, or at the end of the tour. So I think tonight, which we haven't seen what she did for the final night for Cowboy Carter, but we know that a lot of people were speculating that she might be painting or putting black hair this time, indicating she's putting that within the what's that thing called, the Black Betty tour, which she was referencing that throughout the Renaissance, as well as Cowboy Carter. Another thing I've been depicting throughout the Beyonce trilogy that she's been working on is that everything has a reason why she do it. And if you look back on the Renaissance stage and how, for one, she kind of as if, especially when it got to American Has a Problem, and how she, in the background of the American Has a Problem, there's a lot of things happening all at once. For one, she's talking about global climates. She's talking about the stock market. She's talking about the economy and how the economy is plummeting. And then she flash forwarded to the future and how, if we don't fix this, this is gonna happen. And I kind of called it in a weird way. She kind of have a silent protest she did at the Cowboy Carter. That's why we didn't get some of the great things that London and Paris and even Atlanta had. Um, but enough said. And I think she kind of rechanged the set list due to what happened to her further on going into Atlanta. Um, from what they said, she had something stolen, and from there, she kind of like, I think she had a backup plan. I think Beyonce has like a vault that has so many different music that we haven't even heard of, and I think she's not really bothered by the leak. But I think by the time we get to what actually happened to the leak, Beyonce probably changed the entire set list of the Act Three. I really believe that. That would be very interesting. She do something like that, because I think a lot of people don't realize that when you're a mega star, that you're able to shift the narrative of even music. I think you'll have a vault somewhere that's not gonna have that many of your things. You'll probably put it somewhere that's even more safe. And I could honestly also say too, Beyonce is probably one of the few artists that have met with most of the legends that either passed or not currently doing music anymore. And that's a beautiful thing, to have so many people that bless you with their blessings to continue music the way she was doing it. So back to the Cowboy Carter experience. So it is May 24th, 2025. And my friend announced that we got the tickets, Jasmine, Anna, and myself. and I will leave some pictures down below. I could so if whoever that's new could go back and look at the subscribe of me covering the Beyonce thing, you will see that we did a little small exposure, not exposure in a bad way, but I actually showed people that we were at the concert, the location, and everything. So it was pretty fun. Um, it was such a surreal moment. Looking back now, I just tell people like I just can't stop smiling because it was such a positive energy, and the whole stadium was such. There's no feeling like it. There is no feeling like it. I cannot stress this enough. There is no feeling like it. To be at a Beyonce concert or even an MJ, a Michael Jackson, and like Jasmine says, Michael Jackson has always said that if he was alive, he would have loved to do a collab or collaboration with Beyonce, and that's coming from Michael himself. You guys could go back and watch. There's a lot of tributes or contribution that Beyonce did with Michael Jackson. That even back in 2006, um, when Michael really gained, I think it was the um, Millennium Legend. So there was a specific prestige award that um, Michael Jackson received, and Beyonce is the one that gave him the plaque. It was such a contribution. That's when Michael was dressed in this all black, and it was like a black diamond belt buckle he had on. Beyonce was kind of shy because Michael was like, "Get up here, like I want to thank you." He was like, "I want to give you." He was like, "I want to thank." You know how Michael's voice is. He's like, "I want to thank Beyonce. Come up here." And I was such a interesting moment. Like I said, Michael's another person I really want to get into, but not now, because for August I am planning to do a full dive on Michael Jackson discography as well as his life and his contribution to music. So for all of the Michael Jackson fans, I am planning to cover the King of Pop in such a way that we're gonna have so many people to talk about Michael Jackson, the old, the present, and the new generation. We just need to have a conversation of what Michael Jackson meant to us. I remember my dad always mentioned Michael Jackson in the household. I grew up watching Michael, right? And Michael, even I was not completely alive when he really, really went crazy. But 2001, Invincible, um, the History album, 1995. There's so many memories that I went back and I'm like, this man never had social media, and yet again he proved why he was the king. Like there was a scene I was listening to that Michael Jackson went to Rio. I don't know if it was Rio or there was a part in Brazil that it was very notorious for gangs, and even the gangs were a fan of Michael Jackson, that to the point they became the security for Michael Jackson. They said, listen, nothing is going to happen to Michael while he's here. They're under our protection. And on top of that, Michael was such a influence on them that for some reason they became more influential to helping the community. Like the impact that this man had is stretched to generation and for future generation. So to even talk about Beyonce, I must bring Michael Jackson into the room because that is one of his greatest students. You know, back into 2001, celebrating Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary career of Thriller, I think. You had Usher, you had Whitney Houston, you had Beyonce. She was still dealing with she was in Destiny's Child at that time still. Um, and then you had, I think Cisco was there as well. But you had a lot of great talents descending at that night. And then you also had the Jackson 5 dancing with Michael Jackson. If I ever get the chance to find that video, I will make a reaction to it. It was such an amazing feeling to see the impact of Michael Jackson because the world was in turmoil after the 9/11 incident. So when it got to like fall, Michael Jackson actually made something even more beautiful by having all these artists perform. They even did like a I think it was a was it like a tribute? Also, I think they also did like a lot of fundraising at that time too. So to show like Michael has always been giving back, to channel this back down to the Beyonce experience. After looking at it and seeing her live, she is definitely one of Michael Jackson's students. You know, she kind of like a student of a lot of the legends. Janet, Prince, of course. She's been using a lot of Prince references. Even with the throughout the tour, she had a gun like mic. That mic also looked like a gun, referencing Prince. She was a very big Prince fan. She even presented with Prince at one of the Grammys. She did a collaboration dance. They did Purple Rain together. I think that was back in 2004 or three. But to show the impact that when Prince first met her, oh yeah, like Jasmine said, Tina Turner as well. Like those people are unforgettable. And Prince, to get a like from Prince, that is a lot because Prince is one of those geniuses that he grew up with Michael Jackson. They both started off their career in such interesting direction, and they're and Prince are the student of James Brown. So I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of history lessons here. James Brown was the first man to have so many different like hits, and he grew up at a time where music, the way it was consumed, was not the same as we see now. And this goes back to a lot of things in the industry because you could see there's a lot of different, impacts of what James Brown has done, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and all of these artists descends down to Michael Jackson and actually kind of like poured their energy to form who we had now to a Michael Jackson and to now a Beyonce, right? They mentioned that Michael Jackson was the greatest artist of the 20th century, and then Beyonce now have held the crown for the greatest entertainer of the 21st century, which is not mistaken. A lot of people be forgetting, like when people comparing Beyonce to Taylor Swift, I'm like, listen, there's a lot that goes into being a legend. Not disarming anybody's credit, but being a legend means that what is your impact in the industry, not just by sales, but what are you doing after you're gone? What are you doing after you get your accolades, right? And this is what goes back to what Cowboy Carter has done. Cowboy Carter, to me, is such a exceptional act, and I'm happy that it was the second act because I don't think people was ready for the amount of realness that this album brought out, especially after 2016 with the Lemonade debacle. Shout out to the Disty Chicks, or they now called the Chicks. They performed with Beyonce at the I think was it the Grand Ole Opry, if I'm not mistaken. It was a country award setting, but that night they had the highest setting award show ratings ever, and they pretend this shit did not exist because Beyonce was there and performed with the chicks, and they could not fathom a black woman standing there presenting this dancing and being country where she is from. So they dismissed this entire shit entirely. They're like, this is not real. We can't believe she did. Like, you should have seen the comments. And I'm glad Beyonce took that opportunity and just like, oh, so this is the shit y'all did. All right, I got some shit for y'all. Flash forward, Renaissance was supposed to not be released. Renaissance should have been Act Two. Cowboy Carter should have been Act One. And then pandemic happened. So she released Act One Renaissance. When Act Two was released, the amount of shit that I saw was shocking. So for one, we had Usher. Usher was presenting. So last year, Usher did the Super Bowl. It was February 11th. So I remember everything, how this thing was released. So Usher presented the Super Bowl. He did the Super Bowl. He brings out Alicia Keys. They did My Boo, if I'm not mistaken, or oh, whichever one it was. They did their collaboration song that they haven't done for a while. And the crazy thing that happened was that Beyonce was sitting there with Lady Gaga and just like she was like this. She was bumping her head. She had this very interesting. She looked like Dolly, but it wasn't Dolly. She had this very glow, luxurious glow than before, and then she had that pendant, right? She had this cowboy pendant. Even flash forwarding back before she even did that, um, she went to the Grammys last year. Last year she went to the Grammys, and Jay Z won the Dr. Dre award. It was like a black Grammy, indicating his contribution to music. And then Jay Z went up with Blue. Jay Z was like, "It's better to do the reenactment." So Jay Z was like, "So I want to thank my wife. I want to thank everyone for joining." He said, "Well, before I continue, I just want to keep this out there. This woman has not won no categories, no award, not even album of the year, but yet she's the most Grammy person of all time." He was like, "I just want you guys to get this. The most Grammy, but never album of the year." He was like, "Grammys, I want you to just get it right, but at least get it close to being right. If I'm right, what I'm saying, you could leave a comment." So Jay-Z, after saying that, Blue already felt uncomfortable. Blue was like, "I need to get out of here because whatever that's about to happen, I had nothing to do with the casting." So when Jay Z announced that, Beyonce was dressed up as a cowboy, with the belt buckle, with the indicating something was about to happen that we weren't ready for. But Beyonce was like, it's almost as if she was like, "Now, Jay Z, I forgive you, but what? Why did you do all this?" In a way, you could see that in her face. She was like this. I didn't want to hear that. And then you see her. She put her head down. She had the cowboy hat, and um, you had what's her name? She was presenting at that time and dancing. Um, not Ashanti. Crap. Um, you know who I'm talking about. Um, she do a concert with she won the American Idol. She was dancing, and Blue looked at Beyonce. Beyonce kind of like turned away because she was laughing. She was clapping her hands. It was freaking hilarious. And then after that award speech, the whole Carter family left. And Beyonce was not winning anything anyway. She was just waiting for her husband to win something, and he did, and then left. But if you put that into perspective, Beyonce has been winning award shows since she came out, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, she's overrated. Oh, how she's keep winning all this stuff." I'm like, it's like saying if Michael was alive and constantly remember in the night when Thriller won, Michael should have had more awards than everybody else in history. But because of the racism, and I'm gonna put it out there, they didn't want to give Michael the whole award in one night. So what they did is they were like, "We're gonna give you eight, and you're gonna have to split the other ones with the other." Because Thriller won, if I'm not mistaken, Thriller won best best music video. Thriller won so many different awards. Michael got 8 awards, and there's a famous picture. Michael's holding 8 Grammys, and one of his composers, I forgot his name. Um, I forgot what's his name. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad with names. But Michael was standing with such the big writers and the big names that he did the music with, and Michael was just holding these awards, indicating. I know Michael was slightly pissed because it's like, how dare you deny a black man, especially a brilliant black man, of denying him certain awards due to the fact that you did not like him, or you did not like the fact that the presence of this person threatened you so much that you wanted to switch a lot of things. So a lot of people did not like that. Flash forward when Jay Z called out the Grammys on that. Flash forward even the future, you see that he was white. Whenever time a black person kind of as if wins something, the directory has the goalpost will change into another lane because it's like we cannot win anything. That's the whole message of this shit. And you saw that the Grammys, yes, you have people that's been sitting here that hasn't got Grammys. But when you look upon what the Academy Award this year did, and I think they're gonna change the Academy Award every year. From what they said, they're gonna keep rotating the group of people, so it's not gonna be the same group of people, which is insane to me. Um, I remember they were doing an interview with one of the member boards of the Academy Award, and they mentioned that um, the reason why Cowboy Carter won was one, it's not that Billie Eilish or Taylor Swift or what's the other artist that went to the category? Brat by Charlie XCS did not win. It was due to the fact that these artists, if you give them a different genre, some of them will not even be able to cover that genre, let alone how their voice will portray on that genre. Beyonce is one of the few people that could switch lanes and literally go to a whole different genre, embody that genre to the point where you forgot that she started off with R&B and hip, and like you would forget that she was doing all of these things in the past. So when she challenged the Country Music Award back in 2016, and flash forward, Cowboy Carter is the Revenge album. I think Cowboy Carter and Lemonade are sisters. Like for one, Lemonade is the bigger sister, like that one that trying to leave the house first, and then the baby or the middle child decided to pave her own way. Cowboy Carter is like that middle child that they didn't see coming. Um, it had a lot of heavy names: Willie Nelson, Dolly Parton. I love Dolly so much, and what she has done for the Black community, especially there's musics that from back then, even the "I Will Always Love You" song, Dolly Parton, that is a Dolly song, and a lot of people don't know that. And then she gave the rights for Whitney Houston to use it, and then it became a bigger song to where we see it now. But if you realize Dolly and Patti LaBelle, they're like, I think if I'm not mistaken, they're very good friends, very very good friends, and I could tell when a person is very good that they will last longer in the industry. And yes, Dolly's gonna win like big. She's gonna keep making money, but in the long run, she is gonna be very, very positive due to the fact that she gave people the rights to use it. And shout out to also the um um what's it, Paul McCartney for letting Beyonce use Blackbird and the interesting history of Blackbird. So all of these songs that she put in Cowboy Carter has some sort of interesting meaning, right? So Jolene, which was a Dolly Parton song, was covered by Beyonce on this album, and she made it her own, and that was the whole purpose of it. A lot of people did not like it. Some of the people that say they're hard country, they just don't like something different. But when you go back and realize that country started off with black people, you will understand that country was never about claiming what space that was there. Country has always been ours. It's just I'm not sure where it came from to say that it's not ours because they now want to embody it more than we are, which is insane. And any black person that loves history of music or say they are a student of music should know that country belongs with us and that just like every genre that we create a safe space for anybody to use our genre. We're not gatekeeping anybody from coming into a predominantly black genre, we welcome everybody. But in return, we must also be advised that there's other genres that will gatekeep their own space and their own awards due to the fact of the gatekeeping. And Cowboy Carter kind of like broke that wall. Cowboy Carter said, "We're not having that. We're not about to do that." And I think that was what made this album such a powerful thing because going even further on in the future, when she literally released the Cowboy Carter, and that even Usher was like, "That's kind of not fair." I was trying to release my residency while releasing the album he released last year. But Beyonce was like, fuck all that. Press the release button. She did a Verizon commercial. And from what they said, this was probably the best anticipated commercial. It was a not a promotional things. It was a very interesting rollout, similar to Renaissance. Renaissance was an actual rollout. Cowboy Carter, so she's bringing back those things because before Beyonce was known for the surprise drops, um, and then she kind of like reset things back on his head. You never know. Act three might be like instead of Fridays, I'm changing the global release again. I will never forget when she did that with self-titled, right? And I still trying to obtain the what's that thing called? The vinyl for self-titled. I got Lemonade, I got Cowboy Carter, and I got Renaissance, and I also have the exclusive Renaissance um, merch. Also, I have the exclusive merch for the Cowboy Carter, where she's standing like the Statue of Liberty. But as you could see, everything that she has done so far paid off because when Cowboy Carter was really out there, it was such a surreal moment to see what she was planning to do with this album alone. And when she did release it, it was like, what do people gotta think about this? For one, not only this thing was impactful, but two, she released two release songs, 16 Carriages and Texas Hold'em. When these two things were released, and she was like, okay, release the music. They're ready for the new music. And she gave us like a visual teaser that shattered everybody's like, you know, anticipation. And the crazy thing about this whole thing, she released, here's the crazy thing too. She released the official Cowboy Carter name as well as the album on March 29th, 2024, which was Easter. It was a Sunday. She released it on a Sunday or a Good Friday, if I'm not mistaken, which the whole cover of the album, which was a saddle at first, and then as the anticipation climbs up, she changed it into the official cover as we see it, where she's riding the the famous horse, Charday. Um, After releasing that, she said, "Okay, let's see how this rollout is gonna be." She didn't do that much promotion. She did mostly commercial performances. When it comes to like Levi's, there's a song on the track called Levi Jeans, which she kind of as if um she basically rolled it out with the company Levi Jeans, celebrating their the amount of years they've been creating jeans for people to wear, and then boom, December hits, and Beyonce said, "Okay, I'm about to change Super Bowl forever." So to show that Kendrick, now that I'm talking about the Beyonce Bowl, before we get to the whole debacle of the concert, let's interject Kendrick Lamar. So Kendrick did his Super Bowl after Beyonce did the Beyonce Bowl. So ever since Beyonce did the Beyonce Bowl, I think this has now changed forever. For one, The Beyonce Bowl was a equivalent to a regular Super Bowl, but it was not a Super Bowl, which is even insane. The amount of things that she did for this preparation of this comeback was insane. Um, it's shocking to see what she did. She brought out the physical horse, Chardonnay, and I don't think she was gonna bring out another horse after that. She brought out Chardonnay, and as she's strolling along the hallway of the stadium, she sang Blackbird, and then she sang what else did she sing? No, she only sings Blackbird and 16 Carriages. And then you saw the different women's, Tina Adele and all these other country women that are doing very well for themselves in the country scene, took the stage with Beyonce. And then from there, Beyonce was throwing so many different Easter eggs of what Cowboy Carter was going to be like and future projects. So, for one, the horse is the color theme of the Beyonce Bowl was the celebration of the purity, right? The purity of country, right? The horse, the hat, the 10-gallon hat, the saddle, the shoes, the boots, the different clothing wear. And here's another history fact. So cow hands was meant for men, especially Caucasian men. Cowboy was a racist term for black men that were considered boys to be cowboys. So Beyonce turned this negativity on its head by having them stand on the horses during the Beyonce Bowl, indicating that we're in the second act, which one of the cowboys that was standing on the horse had a American uh, attire, and then the other one were almost like their whole cover or slit or covered. Then we have the Beyonce herself riding the horse, almost as this passage of cleanliness are about to happen. She's purifying it. There's a song on the track titled Amen, which she says that she'll be one of the causes that will purify her father's sins. Now, this part of the track is not talking about Beyonce's father literally. She's talking about the founding fathers, as they say, that founded America, that America is purified by those founding fathers. But she's saying, no, 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 no. America is a melting pot of different ethnicity groups or different orientation of people, and that America should be celebrated into what it is, which is a combination of migrants and newcomers that makes up this country beautiful. That is the message of Cowboy Carter. She said, if we're bound to listen to the rhetoric and the ignorance of the past, we're bound to repeat it. Cowboy Carter challenged that. Cowboy Carter basically says, if we don't change the aspect of what makes us people and to be generous towards each other, we're bound to repeat that. And Amen, which mentions that we build a house that were made of stones, but they were lives of stone, indicating that we can't keep building a space that sooner or later is going to crumble. And if it crumbles, there's not going to be a reason to stay in it. And there's a part that says you buy a house that you will never live in. A lot of places in America that you will buy a place that you will never live in because you're going to be constantly working to uphold that space. Those are very valid concerns that Cowboy Carter challenged. And I think what makes this such an amazing um, experience was that she managed to put all of this into one big freaking concert like show, which is the Beyonce Bowl. And the fact that a lot of people were saying that the fact that Netflix worked with Beyonce again and did the Beyonce Bowl and the way that she rolled this thing out, they didn't have no glitches. It was insane, but that's just the production value of what Beyonce is willing to do to make sure her fans and people get the best quality shit as possible. And I think even the streaming giants knows the power and the impact of what Beyonce do, and that they were willing to risk everything. They even said the owner of the Netflix CEO said that Beyonce only did one rehearsal at the stadium, and that was about it to show the level of um, professionalism that Beyonce has. She only did one rehearse, and then the whole show was from there back to back. And so to give you more indication of what the um, the atmosphere of the Beyonce Bowl was, after doing 16 carriages as well as the Blackbird. Blackbird is a very interesting song which was created by Paul McCartney, which is from the Beatles. He created these with the Little Rock Nine, which were basically women that were trying to get their education. So it has a lot of history of what was happening at that time. And it's good to see that another legend passed down their music and almost mirrors to what was happening. Basically, Beyonce was the moment that the country music was waiting for to kind of like change it. And sometimes you don't like the messenger, or you like the message, you just don't like the messenger, um where the message is coming from. Sometimes people don't like that. So when she did the Cowboy Carter, and after doing the whole part of the song, she did 16 carriages, and then she did My House, and then she did Riverdance with Riverdance with what's that, Spaghetti. And then she did from Spaghetti, she did Sweet Honey Bucket, then Levi, then she closed it out with Texas Hold'em, which she was in Texas. So this was very ironic to see her did Texas while she did Texas and Texas Hold'em. She said she was very proud to do that, so it was pretty cool. And then flash forward, she literally went ham and released a little teaser. From that teaser, a lot of people were panicking. She does a lot for her fans. So I'm just gonna read some of the comments that Jasmine is saying. She said she did a lot for her fans and who are great ungrateful, and talking about that they miss the old Beyonce. Exactly. Sometimes if your favorite artist is not growing with the times, like Jasmine is saying, what I'm saying as well, your artist cannot evolve as a musician. Michael, Prince, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Madonna, Janet Jackson, Freddie Mercury, the Beatles, so many different artists. In order for them to propel themselves to the status that we know them that they are now, they have to constantly change genres. And before we close out, well, we're not gonna close out yet, but there's a little bird that is telling me Beyonce might cover Dirty Diana. That is a song by Michael Jackson that I really want her to cover. Dirty Diana is such a fucking good song. And Diana really went to see Beyonce at the Beyonce Renaissance. I would love for her to cover Dirty Diana. Now, mind you, she had a whole Beyonce aesthetic. Beyonce had a whole Michael Jackson aesthetic. I forgot, was it in London when she was performing Alligator Tears? And I was like, if she ever do something like that, and I know she referenced a bunch of things when she received the Innovation Award at the IHOP Radio, um, iHeart Radio. I'm sorry. Um, she referenced a lot of people, Miss Rosetta Tharpe, Little Richard, um, all of these other people, Prince, Tina Turner, Shaka Khan, and all these other people that do rock. And Prince and Michael also do rock. They are high bass or and rock. So to talk about all of that, to think about all of these artists, we must put her into consideration of what she's doing right now. She's reclaiming these spaces that people forget that was started off with the inspiration of black people and the impact that black people have on music in general. We could make every fucking beat hot, depending on what genre. We could jump into when you are a linguist for genres, which is what she is. She's able to take rap and then combine it with country. Take this and combine it with something else. It's such an amazing thing to see what she's capable of when she's actually like really going off. Um, so that is such an amazing thing. Um, but to give you the perspective of what she did after releasing Beyonce Bowl. So when the what was it? The teaser commercial hit Twitter and then hit the different social medias. A lot of people were freaking out. They were like, "Where is our money? Where is our stuff?" Because Beyonce is coming. January 14 was supposed to be the announcement of Cowboy Carter Tour, but then the LA fires happened, which I still pray still this day that people are still recovering from that. Shout out to the people that are from LA. I still pray on that for you guys. I pray that people find new places to stay and that they they rebuild. I know it's not gonna be the same, but I know that so long you're breathing, you're living, you could always be able to rebuild. So this little small moment of silence for the people that had the LA fire this year, and then we will continue. Thank you. So I really wanted to do this because, like I said, it's important to pay respect for people that don't have spaces. That be grateful to where you have places. If you have a roof over your head, thank and be grateful because a lot of people don't have that. So I'm always able to, um, show appreciation of that. Moving forward, so um, back to that. So Beyonce had to change her segment into a more later time when she wanted to release the Cowboy Carter tour. So a lot of people were speculating: is it a tour? Is it an act three? Is she not gonna do a tour? Is it too early to do a tour? All of these speculation was really valid, but when the tour really kicked off and Beyonce said, "Listen, you guys gonna like this," and you should never worry about when Beyonce say, never worried when she says she's announcing something because I know either it's something that's never been done before or something that's gonna be mind-boggling. And I think two of those things were right at the same time. Um, so when she did announce it at the Grammys, and she arrived slightly late yet again at the Grammys. Um, Blue was sitting across from her. Jay Z was in the background, and when they announced that the LA firefighters were helping present the Grammys, Kendrick Lamar came in and snatched a lot of people balls. Um, got so many awards that night, and he won, I think, music or something of the year for best rap, longevity, something like that. Was Kendrick. Kendrick sweep with 5 awards, making him have what 24 Grammys now. Very prestige. Then did a Super Bowl a couple of month after that, and then the coveted last that wanted to be covered. So before we get to Beyonce winning, so I'm giving you guys a bunch of timelines right now that I remember vividly. That's how much I remember the Cowboy Carter era, how it started and how it ended today. So people that may be watching this, it's already probably the 27th of July on their side, but Cowboy Carter has now officially, I would say, officially ended. I might be receiving all of these posts by tomorrow morning, seeing what she did for the final night at the alleged stadium at Las Vegas, um, Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. So I'm not spoiling myself of what she did for the final, or she might do something different. But to celebrate the Cowboy Carter completion, um, then after Beyonce, you know, won album of like this, well, I cried. I cried when she got album of the year because self-titled was snubbed by Beck, Fade, whatever album that was, but she released self-titled. Then Lemonade, she went head to head with Adele. Then she released Renaissance, which um, again she was snubbed. She was snubbed with Henry's House, and then Renaissance got shut out. Then Cowboy Carter. It was everybody was waiting. They were like, if Beyonce does not win this shit, don't show up to the freaking Grammys. It's a bittersweet that the show came to an end, but she will be back. Yep, and same as always, catching up on what the final show. Yes, like you said, Jasmine, when we really go back together, back to back tomorrow to cover podcast episode 2, we will discuss more things from episode 1. Like I said, this was amazing. So when she really said I think the music firefighters were like, she was holding it like this when they're about to announce the 2025 album of the year. So Beyonce already now won 2 awards. I think 2 awards that night. She won Best Duo with Miley Cyrus with Two Most Wanted, and Miley presented that part for Beyonce. And then she announced Best Country, Contemporary, Traditional. She won that as well. And then the big one, the coveted album of the year. When she did this, she said, Cow- Cowboy Carter. I was like, let's fucking go. I was standing on the top of my seat. I'm like, finally, this meant something. You had Lady Gaga bawled out crying. Billie Eilish, I don't think she was crying because she did not win. I think she was surreal that she knows the history of what they did to Beyonce over the years. And you also had Taylor Swift, which is crazy. She was so sweet and enjoying herself. It seems like that she was very happy for Beyonce because she knows the racism that goes into the industry that impacts. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Taylor fan, but I respect what she has done over the years. She started off country. It's weird too. She gave the award to Beyonce. Flash forward 2009, Taylor Swift was leaving country to become pop, and Beyonce was already a pop star at that time. So it was a surreal alignment to be a set. It was very interesting. And then when she won, Beyonce took it. She she paused for a minute. She kind of said, "Oh wow, oh wow, wow." She said, "This is surreal." She said, "Oh my gosh." She says she want to thank God. Oh my God. She said she wants to explain that music and genre should not be gatekeeping artists from expressing themselves or going to different genres. I think that was such a beautiful thing to see. That's why I say I remember it so yesterday, how she just collected herself and paused for a minute. Like she's been going at this album of the year for a long time. She may not win any other thing after that, but I think Cowboy Carter Act 2 was a special place in her heart that I think she had to push to win. And this made me so happy to see that. It goes to show that you could be in any field or any area of life. If you're a person that constantly push, you work hard, you try your best to be the best version as you can, you're always gonna have places or things that are against your growth. You have to leave that. You have to become a better version of yourself elsewhere. When you're presented on a table that is not presented for you, you could leave. You could go do your own thing. It's always good to do your own thing and not reinvent the wheel. I think that's always an important thing. Also, after Beyonce won and she announced the Cowboy Carter Tour officially, a lot of people were speculating about the sales of the ticket, and that's another segment. They started saying Beyonce's tour is flopping, that the tickets are too high, but we know that inflation is a thing and that things will go up and down and change itself. So when she officially kicked off the tour, which was in Los Angeles, um, she did it on the 28th of April, and she kicked off a most epic national anthem, which was a Jimi Hendrix version of that. So she did a silent protest while being on this whole tour. Um, what I liked about this tour was the stage. The stage is breathtaking. And I think I want to see when she do a film for Cowboy Carter. I want to see the aerial view, like the top bird eye view, of when she sing the Jimi Hendrix national anthem. Because when she starts singing, the flashes of the stage go from red to white to blue, and then her face is projected on the star of the stage. It was breathtaking. It's like if I close my eyes, it feels like I'm back to the tour again. When she came up with American Requiem, and this was my first concert ever. There's a lot of rules I've learned from just going there. If you are going to a Beyonce concert or any concert at a stadium, make sure your bag is small. Make sure that you don't have small other technical things. Make sure everything um, is in a smaller bag, due to the fact that they will seize that and you will not get it back. Okay, and you would have to wait, or you will not be able to get in. Even the cameras, I had to leave my camera back home due to the fact that they do not accept you to bring cameras that are super high quality. It almost feels as if you're taking um, information from the artist. So they had to avoid these things. But enough said, the tour kicked off in LA, and a lot of, like, I remember I was sitting at home making something at night, and I just heard Beyonce sing the national anthem, and I was like, oh shit, this shit's gonna be something else. And then I started looking at the stage, and they were giving snippets of what the stage is gonna look. And somebody gave a little snippet of, oh my gosh, guys, the stage lit up. It's a whole fucking guitar. And I'm not okay. Beyonce's about to do something crazy. And she did. She kicked off, of course, with the first track of the song. American Requiem is such a big song. It's hard to cover the layering of that song. First of all, the stage, once everybody is on the stage, like once the tour begins, you see on the opposite side of the stage, since the stage looks like a guitar, and it also looks like a arrow for some reason. I would say the celestial beings, the angelic beings that I felt that were in the Gift album, came or traveled space and time to show up to the Cowboy Carter. They both appeared. I think they were the aliens, I think too. They showed up on each side of the stage. They all huddled at the tip point of the stage that forms like the arrow, and their whole hands is up like this. And they said, nothing brilliant, right? It kicks off the tour. And say huddle up, you know BS is about to come out next. So when this happens, I'm losing my shit. Jasmine is losing her shit. We're all losing our shit at once. It's like, and then you start hearing boom, boom, indicating that the stage is steading up. And then you start seeing a little smoke, and then you start hearing There's a lot of talking going on. Like the stage start opening. And it's like damn, right? And then she said, "Look at there, look at there." Like she start walking out, and then you realize it is Beyonce. That was the feeling that I got. That I was like, "This is not real." Let me wipe my eyes and see if it's not real. When she kicked that off, and then um, she said American Requiem, and then went from American Requiem to Blackbird, then to the Jimi Hendrix version of the segment. When she do the national anthem of the Jimi Hendrix version, the stage lit up to different colors. Then it gives different flags. So a lot of people were indicating that when she sang Formation, she said, "My mama, Louisiana." You mix that Creole with a Texas Bama. So the stage had Texas flag, Louisiana flag, and all of these. So you were left shocked seeing her the first time. Like I said, like Jasmine mentioned, seeing Beyonce one time is not enough. You must see her twice in order to really reland what you just saw. It was such a surreal experience that I don't take nothing for granted. Like I said, I've been covering Beyonce for almost. Oh my God, I'm almost about to freaking tear up. So I seen her the let's say movie, the Renaissance, and then to see her in flesh and fruition was the second time I got a VIP section. So it was even more amazing to hear it, like the production of this project, this tour. Now I'm already speculating, and I'm gonna make more videos. So be mindful that we're wrapping up the whole Beyonce experience. By the 29th, we're closing out the Beyonce segment. Um, so we have at least 4 or 9 videos remaining. So they might be releasing back to back, following up with track and field as well. So be mindful of that as well. The reason why I'm ending the whole Beyonce Cowboy Carter experience on the 29th of July, this will celebrate the 29th of Renaissance. So Renaissance came out July 29th. Um, which looking back 2022, 23, she went on tour and Cowboy Carter was released. So roughly around 3 years now, Cowboy Carter was released. So I'm paying homage to Cowboy Carter and Renaissance by ending Renaissance on the Renaissance Day and then closing Cowboy Carter on Renaissance Day. So Renaissance Day is July 29th. So be mindful of that date. So I wanted to give you guys a little history lesson again. So it was fun. It was such a fun experience. And then she sings Blackbird and she just twirls around the stage. And then when she's talking about the different people that has helped her climb this ladder of success, we saw Miss Rosetta Thought. We saw all of these women from country, and then the most significant one, Miss Linda Martell, which was the first Black woman to do the Grand Ole Opry, and was shunned because of racism, and that 67 years since a woman won something at the Grammy, not Grammys, the country world. And a lot of people be like, well, Beyonce's album is not country. Of course, it's an amalgamation of the different production that country has gone through over the years. Country has so many different roots. Country has blues. It has part of rock. It has some sort of jazz in it. It has so many different ballads of things that makes country country. The banjo started in Africa. It moved here, and all of these things kicking off that Texas Hold'em has a lot of the banjo playing in the background, and then the harmonica was played in Jolene. So the harmonica was played by Stevie Wonder, where Stevie Wonder came up to give Beyonce the Prestige Innovation Award, and Beyonce mentioned all of these artists, including Stevie Wonder. So it was a well circled moment to see what Beyonce have done over the years, and that it was such a great feeling to see what Beyonce has contributed to music. And we would never, just like Whitney mentioned, we would never see a voice like hers again, similar to Beyonce. I think I will never take it for granted of artists that are walking this earth right now, and that they have given their time, their energy to create great music. And I think I'm a child. If I wasn't doing architecture, music would have been my route, because I am such a student of music. I love music. Music is a power of healing, and some people will use music for the negative connotation. Music has energy. If music is creating bad things, you're bound to somewhat create or do bad things. But when you listen to positive music, music has a way of deliberating you from different situations, either from sadness, depression, or any of those things. Music is also a time traveling system. It allows us to connect to things that are back in the past in some ways, and music is evolution. We could see things how it used to look in the past based on the music, and then how it looks in the future. It's so many things that Beyonce has made to make a contribution to music. So continue with the experience tour. So when Beyonce finished covering the segment of Jimi Hendrix, the set list, so every night from different cities, Beyonce recreated a different set list. Like in my set list, which was the 24th and the 28th of May, which was at MetLife, she did If I Were a Boy, um, she did Renaissance. I don't think she did Break My Soul, but she had so many different songs on there that people were waiting for it to cover. It was like similar to the Eras tour. She created different points in time in her segment of her list. That's why now the Cowboy Carter is now the highest grossing country tour of all time. And that thing is sitting at what, 400 million and some change. So when you look upon the amount of money this tour has made, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because, for one, Beyonce has worked her ass off to be in this position. It's different to discredit someone when they're not doing shit, but time and time again, this woman has proven that no matter how negative you are or positive you are or how critical you are of her, she's gonna just keep doing her. And she don't stick into people's faces of showing that she's the biggest. Like that song it says, she's the biggest, the baddest, the largest. She mind her business and she just creates bodies of work. I could honestly say, no matter how people find him very controversial, Chris Brown is similar. Chris Brown mind his business. Yes, he has little problems here and there. He minds his business and he creates art. You don't have people creating R&B like freaking Chris Brown, right? And that's me saying this not because to get a fan of you. I have watched Chris Brown rise and fall and rise again, and I can honestly say we have one of the best counterpart of R&B male right now. He is creating music. He's going on tour. I'm still deciding if I want to go see him or not, but I think it will be worth it. Similar to Lady Gaga Mayhem album, I'm still planning on covering that. So for people that haven't seen me cover that, I'm still planning on covering that, as well as her Gaga Cella. She did the Coachella this year. She put a hell of a show. So I haven't really covered that as of yet, but maybe in the future we're gonna see what we're gonna do. But guys, this was um, it it was definitely an experience that um, I think I'm gonna cherish that for years to come. Mind you, I haven't covered or released the entire Beyonce tour. I might combine the entire video and make it one big freaking video and walk through the documentary part. I did release a couple of night one that I go to Cowboy Carter. This was on the 24th. The 28th concert, I didn't release it yet. So for people that are following me on TikTok, Instagram, or on Facebook, or even YouTube, I have a lot of things specially planned for you guys, especially my Facebook fans. It's been a while. And for my new fans, the TikTok fan, I think I'm very grateful that the people from TikTok has welcomed me with open arms. And there was so many positivity. It makes me happy to see there's still much positivity in the world. When you're a person that you're just starting off in a new platform, you tend to get negative incantations, but TikTok was very welcoming. Um, and I started posting my own stuff on there, like track and field, as well as the Beyonce concert over there. So it was very heartwarming to see that. Um, but like I said, this was an amazing experience. And that let's go to the last topic of the night, which will be 2026 Grammys. So it's gonna be insane. And Jasmine, you could help me with that as well and leave some comments. So the Grammys did a decision. So ever since Beyonce won, they said, okay, we cannot let this shit happen again. We're gonna be switching things up next year. We're gonna be changing the category of country best contemporary and best traditional, just to keep it white. I'm gonna keep it right out there. They don't want country to be tainted with different minorities or different ethnic groups. And I feel as if a person that's born country and has accent of country will always be country. It's because the person that is country is not who you depict that was country. And if people say, well, country people are not racism, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm also saying that, let's be honest, if it was someone else that did it, you would have had no issue with that. But the fact that a black woman comes in a genre that is ridiculously originated from black people, but for some reason now the white counterpart are gatekeeping that, and all of a sudden this is a purified white genre, that is nonsense. That is nonsense. And that now the Country Music Award, as well as the Grammys, after Beyonce winning that coveted Album of the Year for Country and Grammys Album of the Year, they changed that. They don't want that to happen anymore. Because never in their life that a black woman sweep that part of the award since Lauryn Hill of the Miseducation album, which was back in 2000, if I'm not mistaken, 2000 or 1994. And the previous person that won that was Whitney for The Bodyguard. So, to be honest, so after 20 something years, a black person has won Album of the Year. So, if that's not screaming racism, what is it? And on top of that, we also have Linda Martell, which never won a Grammy nor I would say, a recognition of the Country Music Awards. Then Beyonce took that and showed that, we had a legend sitting here all this time. We just never recognized her because we never gave her the proper respect that she deserved. And that to me is why I feel as if Cowboy Carter did such an amazing job, because this album was not about her. This album was about the discriminatory thing that has happened in the music industry time and time again, and that we are plagued to see the same regurgitating problem. For one, The Cowboy Carter referenced that the Music Academy was like, it's not like the albums of the different artists on that category was not good. It was that Cowboy Carter did something that a lot of people did not realize. When you see an artist has all these different credits of different people, it's not because that they can't write their own shit. When you want to work with the best, you Beyonce is not selfish to share her platform. She added people like there was a part she was explaining that people that were literally doing like I'm assuming like patty cake to make the song of Tyrant, which is one of the tracks on the Cowboy Carter. She literally gave them credit for just doing that, making the patty cake and stuff like that. So each person that got little credit from the Cowboy Carter now has credit to their name for winning a Grammy. So when you think about it, she didn't just do the Grammy, she didn't do this award for herself. She did it for all of the people that was shun and didn't gonna get recognition because of their color or their either their sexual orientation or any of those things in between. But she managed to create a atmosphere that for the Linda Martell, the tenor Adele, or anybody that's coming after her will get a prestige award like this behind her name. So, like I said, she opens a genre, she leads it, but she creates a atmosphere for others to grab that part of energy to continue that legacy, right? So a lot of people are getting recognition due to the fact that she's stepping into places that you will often not see people of color being there, and she did that. And I think that is a very important thing when you're creating a lane for others to follow. You're creating a legacy where you're opening up gates for other people. Like for an example, bringing it back to Michael Jackson again. Michael Jackson brought the Beatles catalog and gave back all of the legends before him the recognition of their catalog so that way they could profit off their own music that they did. And because of racism, they couldn't have their masters recording. So there's a lot of history that is being represented here, indicating that a lot of people get recognition because either for one, the color of their skin did not allow them to obtain that ability to own their master recording at a time where they did not even see that person as a person. And Michael Jackson fought very hard for that. And I could see Beyonce doing the same thing by creating these different trilogy acts. And these acts are allowing people to um, go to segment spaces that you would tend to normally don't see them as. So this was a very good experience in my part of what Beyonce has done. So this was amazing. I think she did her job as a musician. She did her job as an activist for people that are in the lower ranks of music. And there's a song, what is it called? It says, "Oh, got my boots on the ground." So the person that created that, I think he came from down south. He got a shout out from Beyonce, and he went to the Cowboy Carter Tour. It was amazing to see that a song that was very mainstream and became more popular because Beyonce did. And I love how she tend to take people random out of their comfort zone and make it even more big of a song than it is. That shows the levelness of her brand and the levelness of the respect that she have gained over the years. This was an amazing, amazing experience. Like I said, I can't wait for episode 2, which this time I promise you guys I'll be more ready and we will have Jasmine physically and part of our I would say our part. Like I mentioned before, this was going to be an hour and 50 minutes exactly. So we did it exactly. So I'm very proud. Thank you guys so much for this experience. I want to thank Jasmine for being with us, even though she couldn't speak more in person, but she was in the chat, so shout out to her. Her channel is officially Jasmine T. So if you want to subscribe to her channel, you can. And as always, if you guys want to subscribe to mine, you can. But this was an amazing kickoff to episode 1 of season 3 of my podcast. Um, Next thing we'll have, so I am gonna be covering more things. And like I said, by next week we will switch our montage to track and field, which will be covering the USA trials heading to Tokyo championships, which will kick off in September the 13th. So we have a lot of things planned. But enough said, I am so proud to cover this on my channel. It is a wonderful feeling to be back covering podcasts again. It took me a while to get here, but we're back, baby. We're gonna have so much fun. We're gonna bring different people from my sister, my friends, and other people that wants to join. This is gonna be fun. I'm gonna teach people how to join the podcast, and we're gonna talk more and more about other topics. So we have so much things planned for season 3. I think season 3 may have at least 50 episodes. Um, so for the rest of the year, we're gonna be covering all of the episodes. So like I said, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun, and maybe we might greenlit season 4. I imagine this season to have at least. I imagine this entire podcast to have like at least 800 episodes, not counting what we're covering with the 50 episode. Probably like 880 episodes. This will be a dream of mine to look back on all of these episodes that we have done for podcasts. So long we able to have breath in our body and the will to be consistent, I think it's always possible. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate wherever you are around the world. Thank you guys for tuning in to season 1 and then now season 3 of my podcast. Season 3 is gonna be amazing. Thank you guys so much. Love you all, and be safe and have a good night or a good morning wherever you guys are. Thank you. Peace.